We're here at the Art Cafe in Sidi Bou Said, Tunis, and today we're going to talk about the best places to live in Tunis, right? We're going to give you a couple places that you cannot miss if you want to live in Tunis. And Ikram, a local Tunisian,
Hello.
will explain
Hello
everything
again.
about it.
Yeah.
So tell us, what's the number one place, like right out of the gate, the best place for a foreigner to live because the quality of life,
Yeah.
accessibility of, conveniences and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Which is the best neighborhood in Tunis?
Well, there are a lot of places here in Tunis where you can live your best life in terms of quality, etc. But especially here, where we are sitting now in Sidi Bou Said, where you can enjoy living here. Yeah, it's a beautiful place to live. Also, not only to live, but also to have fun. Yeah, so you can do both here.
What kind of apartments can people rent here? Because this is like a more ancient neighborhood. Doesn't feel like this is like a very modernized place.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, when I came from the airport, what I immediately noticed is that there are a lot of high-rise buildings,
Yeah.
new high-rise buildings. You don't see that here. If a foreigner were to live here, they would probably have to live in one of these houses, no? Because in Sidi
Yeah.
Bou Said, everything is white and blue, and
Yeah.
it's mandated you can't have a home here or like a business that's not, compliant with the color scheme of
Yeah.
Sidi.
Sidi Bou Said.
Yeah, so it
Yeah.
needs to be the same color scheme, no?
Yeah, which is white and blue. So everything here is white and blue, even the buildings. So you're gonna live in a white and blue building here, as you can see.
So it's a matter of taste.
Yes.
There are some people watching this video, they're like, hey, yeah, I do like the ancient feel, but maybe I want to live in a high-rise building. So if that's you, then this place is not for you. Let's just be honest about that.
Yeah.
And the houses here are older, right? So if they want like a newer building, and we're going to talk about that too. So you would recommend Sidi Bou Said to someone who is like looking for more like a traditional living experience in
Yes,
Tunisia, right? So if
exactly.
you want like a modern place, with I don't know, like an apartment with like 30 stories, then
Yeah.
you're not going to find that here, right? It doesn't exist. So
Yeah.
everything here is ancient, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. It
Great.
is.
And what about cost? The cost to rent an apartment, is it more expensive here than it is in La Marsa? Is it more expensive here than in Adriana, other
Yeah.
neighborhoods? What's your take
Well,
on this?
the expenses here and living here is just like in other places like La Marsa, also Carthage. They can cost you a lot, whether you're gonna rent or you're gonna buy a house here. So it will cost you definitely more than renting a house and just like, for example, Ariana. So yeah, it's expensive here.
It's expensive,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's because it's a top tourist attraction in Tunisia.
Yes.
Plus, you have the ocean right next door, which you can see like to my left.
Yeah.
So when you're watching the video, I think it's going to be to your right, I guess, but it's to my left. This all you pay too, right? You always pay for the ocean, you pay for the views, you pay
Yes.
for the proximity to stuff, So when tourists come here,
Yeah.
this is where they want to stay.
Yeah, it's close to every local markets here. So
Okay, fantastic. Then the second place, what do you recommend?
well, definitely Carthage, also La Marsa. They all have the great view, but you are free where to live, the color of the buildings. You can feel like you're free. It's not like here.
You're not
You're not
living under
forced for
mandates.
you're not forced for any color. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess you really must like to live in this specific neighborhood,
Yeah.
whereas the other ones is like whatever. You can choose where you want to live.
Yeah.
And what's the key difference between the other neighborhoods in here? And like just talking about the lifestyle,
Yeah.
what's around,
Yeah.
what's different, and if you can name the specific neighborhoods.
Different from the other places.
From Sidi Bou Said, what's different from here to the
Another
other two places that you just mentioned?
Well, definitely the color scheme here.
Sure.
Maybe Sidi Bou Said is more crowded than the other places, here because there are a lot of tourists. Also in Carthage La Marsa there are tourists, but not this number of tourists and foreigners in Sidi Bou Said. So yeah, it's less crowded than Sidi Bou Said.
And what about the cost of living? Where is it more expensive, less expensive?
Well, actually, they're all expensive.
Okay.
They are expensive here. But if you want to rent in another place less expensive, also good, you will go ahead to rent in Ariana or Soukra, all these places that are in Tunis, but less expensive. Yeah.
Okay, let's say someone wants to have a lot of conveniences nearby. We're talking shopping malls, we're talking restaurants, like big supermarkets. Like, which is the best neighborhood to live in where all these nice conveniences are nearby within, say, a short a car ride, or if people want to
Yeah.
take a boat, in drive, a taxi,
Mm-hmm.
or let's say they want to walk, where would you recommend them to stay?
Well,
To live in, actually, yeah.
yeah, to live and to rent a house in Soukra, or there's another place. It's called L'Aouina. It's close to anything. It's to all the local markets. There are a lot of transportation there. Also, you want to go to somewhere that isn't in that exact place, you can go to another place easily because of the transportation. So everything is closer in Soukra and L'Aouina. So you can
Soukra and L'Aouina.
Soukra and L'Aouina, yes.
Before we talked about the public transportation not
Yeah.
being that great
Yeah.
in Tunis, which leads us to a fact that you either will end up taking Ubers or taxis, okay? Which for an expat, very inexpensive for us here. That may not hold true for the local population. What else, how else can you get around here? There is a metro,
Yes.
but it's mostly in the downtown area.
Yes.
And how does that work? Do you recommend living in downtown Tunis, or would you say that's a no-go area? Around the Medina, for instance, because that's where the metro is.
Yeah.
Like, what is transportation like in that area? And would you recommend that, just if you can point a few things out?
Well, living in downtown depends on your personality, actually. If
Sure.
you're a very extrovert person, you want to live in those crowded areas, I think you can live there because it's always crowded. There's always noise there, but there are a lot of transportations. There are metros, there are taxis, but not Bolt. There are Bolt, but there are another taxis like normal taxi. Also, you can take the bus. So there are a lot of choices in terms of transportations there.
Got it.
Yeah.
So let's say you were into Tokyo or some other place. I mean, that's probably an extreme example. Anywhere, like any downtown for this matter, is probably pretty crowded. One thing that we also talked about is how, like, Tunisia's population is it's sitting above 12 million, I think, something like that, 10 or 12 million. But comparing it to a country like Egypt that is extremely overpopulated, like, I think Tunisia is still doing better in this regard. It's not so crowded, it doesn't feel like it. If you've ever been to Cairo, and that's Egypt's like biggest challenge, is that the majority of people live in Cairo's metro, and it's extremely populated and very hectic traffic too. Here in Tunis, the traffic is, sure, there's rush hour and traffic jams, but if you've been to other places, even like in the West, I mean, it's nothing compared to that, really. It's still very much within, certain tolerance levels, if you will. Any final neighborhood that you can recommend that we haven't talked about yet, where you would say maybe expats watching this video now who want to live in Tunis, they should consider that neighborhood?
Well, Ariana is a big city, so there are a lot of neighborhoods within Ariana. So I highly recommend Ariana to live there. Yeah.
Why?
Well, first of all, because of the transportation.
Okay.
Ariana is, like we say, it's in Tunisian ways, it's the heart of transportation. Also, their living isn't that expensive as the other cities. And it's close to everything, to the markets and the cafes. So, and also there are a lot of places where you can work there.
You say places where you can work. Are you referring to like co-working, or you're like talking about cafes? What places are we talking about?
Well, it's like places where you can co-work there.
Okay.
Or even you can study there. It's like in a cafe or places. You can do all your chores there.
Got it. Even in La Marsa, there's some nice like rooftop bars or cafes actually, where you can hang out and you can enjoy yourself. Like, one of the things that I've noticed is that not all cafes have Wi-Fi here.
Yeah.
So what you can do is something that I did. You buy a cell phone data plan with hotspot. I think they go for roughly 40 dinars, which is what, like $13, $14, something like that, somewhere in that neighborhood, give or take, depending on the current, conversion fee. So you can do that, and then you can just enable hotspot. And something that I've seen here or heard, which I haven't really confirmed, is that because it's limited, the data is limited. Only in America is the only country where I've been to where the mobile data is unlimited. Here it's limited, right? So it depends on how much you pay. Obviously, you can reload it, but it's not unlimited.
Yeah.
I think it's like 20 gigabytes is what you get.
Yes.
And is it true that the hotspot is also 20 gigabyte, or is that capped at a lower limit?
Well, I think it's kept in the lower limits.
Probably like 5 or so, something like that.
Yeah. You need always to ask and search.
Right. But you can reload it, and for a foreigner, the reloads are relatively inexpensive here. Great. So
that's true,
we hope you enjoyed this video on the best neighborhoods to live in Tunis. If you're interested in learning more about Tunis and you want to come here on vacation, or you're interested in relocating to Tunisia, you can contact Nomad Elite. We are a full package tour agency and relocation agency that helps people, especially Americans and Canadians, vacation and live in Tunisia. So we help you with everything, with the tours. If you're interested in getting a visa, we help you with all of that. Also, make sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the subscribe button, and also turn on the notification bell. And we see you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching.